Okay.
All right.
Welcome, Pat. Thank
Hi,
you
Gav.
for taking this meeting at short notice. And the reason why I reached out to you because we had a mentoring session early on in the week, and I'd suggested some key areas for you to focus on. And within a few days, within 3 days, you're almost up 3%. You've implemented those solutions in a great sort of order in a great way that can be showcased to the rest of the trading community. But before we go into sort of looking at the before and after the mentoring session, Pat, do you want to just give us a quick introduction to a bit about you, the training program that you completed with us, and being a funded member?
Yeah, of course. Hi. Thanks for welcoming me to this meeting. I'm honored to help you guys out a bit. Well, a bit about me. My name is Pati, and I live in Amsterdam. I've been interested in investing and trading for almost 2 years now, or 1.5. At first, it was a very simple buy and hold, but as the more I got into it, I just wanted to make a profession out of this. And my interest in crypto has started from also that same period. And the training course that I did with Alphachain was specifically for cryptocurrency trading. A month later, after I finished the program, I decided to continue with Alphachain and be a funded trader. And I've got to say it's not easy. There's a lot of things to think about, but I'm glad I made this decision. At first, I struggled a bit. I had a different strategy than I'm using now. I had to develop the second strategy, and from that point onwards, it did go quite well. But then I had this feeling that I reached a ceiling, or rather, something was holding me back. And I have a perfect example of what I can show you on TradingView. So I'll go ahead and share my screen now.
Just give me a moment, Pam. So what I want to do is I want to have a look at your overall stats before
Okay.
and after, so we can see sort of you can talk us through what happened before
Okay.
and what changes were made as we go through. So let me just share my screen. Just give me a second. I'll bring this up.
All right.
Where? Okay. Okay. So these are this is your live trading stats from prior to, I believe, the 29th of March.
Correct.
Just on a quick look, you were up 1.46%. You had a drawdown of 1.09%. Well, it's sort of, an incline prices. Okay, so positive equity growth, but then we sort of are moving sideways, and you're finding it a little bit difficult to sort of breach and break above the 1.5% mark.
Yeah, correct.
So trades wise, 135 trades with a profit factor of 1.4. So take away, Pat.
All right. So it did go the right direction. I was quite happy, but as I said, I was plateauing at a certain equity level, and I think it was due to part of my strategy where I use multiple take profits, and I put a large take profit price, which usually doesn't get hit. But if it does get hit, then I get a lot of profits. But that was also one of the reasons as to why I was plateauing, because what often happens is I reach the first target or the second target, and my position is equally divided in 4 or 5 positions. And what happens is when I reach first target, second target, I only close out 20%, 25% of the position. And what happens with the rest of the position is it hits break even. That's also why my profit factor is down only to 1.4. And a lot of the win rates are also lost due to the break even. So the stats are a bit twisted. But yeah, that was one of the major reasons I was plateauing. Although I did take good trades, I didn't optimize my profit taking, and that was a big issue for me at the moment. Yeah, I scheduled a meeting with Adam and Gavin, and after the 29th, with my meeting with Gavin, yeah, I discussed this with him, and he advised me to look at it in a different way, because usually what I see is that the first target or the second target gets hit, but the rest of it doesn't get hit. And the higher you go, the more resistance you'll meet. This really struck me as a trader, of course, because I always knew this, but I never took it into account for my own trades. And after the meeting, I immediately changed it to, well, taking the majority of the profits, let's say around 75 to 80% of the profits at take profit 2, or between take profit 1 and 2, depending on if the position is about to reverse or anything like that. Yeah, right after the meeting, I tried implementing what Gavin advised me. So taking the majority of the position out of risk and just taking that profit much earlier. It also has a much higher probability of taking that reaching that price. So I figured if I take most of the position at a higher probability rate, that just makes sense. And I didn't realize this for so long. Yeah, after that meeting, I immediately started doing that. Gav, if you could pull up.
So yeah, let's do a recap on that.
Okay.
So I'm just going to do a little demonstration on the left over here. So what we're outlining is that generally when you take a trade, let me just use a different color actually, just so you can see it. When you normally take a trade, and let's assume you've taken a trade on a breakout like this, you're entering in this region here, right? You've got a stop loss in place, that's fine. Stop loss is not the issue. Your entry is not the issue. What we outlined was that you set 3 targets. You got T1, you have T2, and we have T3, right?
Yeah.
But the idea was that when we get to T1, we take 20% profit. When we get to T2, we take another portion of profit. And then T3, we book all of our profits, right? And then after going through your stats, looking at how many trades previously went on to, even if they didn't, right? So how many trades went on to actually hit T3, T2, T1, we kind of saw that vast majority went on to definitely meet T1, less T2, not often T3, right? So the question became is, why not flip that, right? Take the majority of profits at T1 rather than T3, and then do it that way, right? You can leave positions on. If you want to book 4 profits, you can book 4 profits. If you want to leave a small portion for T2, you can do, or T3. That's your choice. But let's, get to a point where you're taking the majority of profits at the least path of resistance, right? Which is T1, right? And that was fantastic to see. So we're going to see the turnaround to that. Let's have a look. Let me just bring up the stats. Let's clear this for start. So zoom in here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So going from 1.46%, you're up 4.3% in a matter of 3 days.
Yeah,
very strong bullish move over here.
Yeah, it's been a really good couple days. I'm really satisfied with that. And yeah, the meeting really did make me realize how inefficient that take profit actually was, as the probability of take profit 1 and 2 hitting is much higher than the rest hitting. So I've decided to flip it, and I take my profits much earlier. In a way, this also eases my mind a lot. I'm not really stressing about whether I'm gonna lose that whole position again. This happened a couple times, so this also took a bit of a strain on my mental and psychological side, because yeah, sometimes I wouldn't be so eager to trade. But after flipping it, I feel much better. And as you can see, the results are also much more improved.
Yeah, looking at just that 3-day period, right? Just that 3-day period. This is the gain you've made. You know, almost 3%, 2.81% is your total gain there, right?
Yeah.
And that's great. That is great, right?
Yeah.
And that's all because you've had 8 trades in total, right? So 8 trades since then, all of them profitable. Yeah, you know, stats are looking great. Stats are looking fantastic in just that 3-day space, right?
Yeah.
Did you want to show us some examples? Some examples
of
of a couple of the trades before, after?
Yeah, of course. All right. If you mind, I'll
I'll
go
just
share my screen.
Yeah.
And I'll go to training view for you guys. So right here, as you can see, this is part of my strategy. I try to find resistance lines and hope for a divergence. So what I see here is price moving up, but momentum waves moving down. And this would be a prime target for me to enter. After I enter, I take, this was prior to our meeting. So let me just get this one. I had my first take profit around here. My second take profit around here.
Yep.
And I would have wanted this to go through until this level right here. This is a monthly closed candle level. And this is a prime example of what I was dealing with. So I would take 20% right here, 20% right here, and what's left is 60% that gets hit at break even.
Yeah.
And this made me lose a lot of profitable trades. I didn't necessarily lose those trades, but it did definitely set me back as to if I compared it to if I were to flip it. If I took 40% here, if I took another 40% here, then I took 80% of my profits. And that would be, let's say, this would be a 2-to-1 risk ratio. This would be a 3.3 reward risk ratio. And that's definitely already fine for me.
Yeah.
Especially if I use 0.5% risk.
Yeah.
That's already a lot of gains. And if I go back to after our meeting, I made those 3 trades. I'll just quickly go back to recent data and believe this was one of them. Right. So I made these 3 setups and made 8 trades out of these. This was right after our meeting. Our meeting was around this period. And I saw price moving towards this 786 level. There was also nice divergence, so it's a perfect entry for me. And yeah, I took my first profit on this level right here, but my first profit was 20%, and I actually took the rest of the profits right here. So this was around 60 to 80%. I was still feeling a bit of uncertainty as whether I would lose my profits again. So I was really glad I closed it out here. I got about 0.8% from this trade.
Yeah.
And then moving along, I saw another divergence printing again on the 786. I was a bit late with the entry, but I made sure to enter it because I saw good signals. And this looked like a double bottom as well. I saw this resistance level right here.
Yep.
And I didn't want to risk losing much of that position again. So for this trade, I only opened 1 position, and I just left it to a 3-to-1 risk ratio because that aligned perfectly with this resistance level. And as you can see, this was almost near perfect trade.
Yeah.
Then moving along to today or yesterday, my limit order hit overnight, and I took around 25% of the profits right here. And then I saw some signals indicating that there would be a reversal. I saw high prices, I saw lower momentum waves, and I sold it after the second red candle. So in fact, I closed the whole position around this price. And if you can see, that's around a 2.3 risk to reward. At the end, this trade did move along to my last take profit.
Yeah.
But even only getting this profit right here, I made around 1%.
Yeah.
So I'm totally fine with that. I mean, 1% in one day.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be too worried about missing out on other profits.
Yeah, perfect. And that's what we want to see, is consistency daily, right? Consistency, taking a percent every single day. That's what you want to do. Yes, not every day is going to be a winning day, right? And don't worry about sort of, you can see the last part where it just turned around, went all the way up.
Yeah.
That could lead to FOMO, and then you start questioning yourself. Don't, get in, get out, look for the next trading opportunity. Let's see where it gets you next, right?
Exactly.
That's the idea. But yeah, fantastic job, Pat. We've clearly seen how the mentoring session has been instrumental in you taking more profits than you did previously and surpass those prior equity highs that you had in your overall balance. And I'm looking forward to see ongoing trades from you in the upcoming mentoring sessions.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
It's been really helpful. It was not a big issue, but just a small talk really did open my mind a bit and flip the way I think about it.
Exactly. Those little tweaks that lead to massive gains later. That's what we're seeing here, right? Making those 1% improvements leads to massive action at the end of the week. Let's see where you get to in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Great job. Thanks, Pat, for taking the call.
No
I'll
worries.
speak to you soon. Let me end the recording. Okay.